everyone, welcome back to Life in Pixels. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be doing another speed build for a build challenge. This time it's going to be something a little bit different. I'm going to be doing a shell build challenge that I saw going around on Twitter the other day from HumanSimulation. So this is his shell. He named this the Simulation Shell #1 challenge. So I'll go ahead and I will link his Twitter information down below so you can go ahead and check out this challenge for yourself if you want to, and his rules of what to do for the challenge are on his Twitter, and then you still have some time to enter. I think he's going to be looking at them on June the 5th. So I've never actually done a shell challenge before. I've watched a lot of them. I know that Lil Simsy does a ton of shells and Plumbella does a lot of shells, and honestly I've always been a little intimidated to try them, but I've been feeling like a lot out of my comfort zone with building ever since I started my channel and since I started my build series where I'm recreating all of the different lots from The Sims Bustin' Out. And so it's really just been forcing me to grow as a builder, and I'm really enjoying it. So when I saw this shell on Twitter, I was like, this just screams modern house to me. And I think I've only built a modern house one other time, and I really like modern just isn't my style. Like, it's not my style in real life, it's not my preferred style in The Sims, but you know, for growth and stepping outside of my comfort zone, I thought that it would be really fun to go ahead and give this a try. But yeah, I was just hit with so much inspiration just when I very first saw this shell, and really this large part in the front that I made brick, it just looked like a column to me, and I kind of built my whole idea kind of based around it. So one of the trickiest things up front here, as you can see, I put the door on a diagonal, and I like to raise most of my houses up like a little bit on a foundation, even if it's just like one raised up so it's a barely foundation. I just think they look a little bit better, but you cannot place stairs on a diagonal. So I had to do a little bit of work with putting that little porch area on there so that it comes out and makes a straight line so that you can put the stairs. So that was really probably one of the most challenging parts. And then of course, trying to come up with a floor plan was a little bit of a challenge, but I think it worked out pretty well, and I'm pretty proud for this being my first attempt at a shell challenge. So with that whole modern theme, I went ahead and I started envisioning who might live in the super modern type house. And so I went with a sim who is a fashion designer and maybe a fashion photographer. I put a lot of photo equipment in here, and I've been on a real photographer kick lately, evidently, because when I did the Thin House challenge, I also did it for like a photographer sim, but that was more of an industrial and rustic looking vibe going on in the interior, not a like super modern vibe. So they're very different, but it just dawned on me that I made two houses for photographer sims like pretty close together. So that was kind of funny. I had a little bit of an issue getting the kitchen to come together. I wanted the downstairs here to be pretty open concept because there's a lot of, you know, weird angles here in this shell. And so I thought if I boxed it off a lot, that it would just be more of a challenge and it wouldn't have a good flow. And I really like open concept living anyway. It's my preferred style, again, both in real life and The Sims. I feel like I say that a lot. Like, I like this both in real life and in The Sims. I guess I really build to my personal taste a lot when I build in The Sims. So yeah, I kept a lot of the open concept on the first floor. The only interior wall that I added was right here to make a half bath downstairs, and then I added a little bit of a laundry area. I went back and forth a little bit on deciding how big I wanted this downstairs area to be, because I wanted it to be a half bath. I didn't want it to be huge, and I feel like a lot of the bathrooms in The Sims are just so gigantic, and I just like to make them really small. For the most part, I don't know if that's just like a challenge I like to give myself. I don't know, but I ended up keeping it this size because I did add the laundry room in there. And I've said this in builds before, I like to go ahead and put down like most of the main pieces of furniture first before I start really doing the detail work of the build, just so I can make sure that I don't have to go and rearrange a bunch of stuff after I already decorated. And a lot of the times I do wait to even put down the flooring and the wall colors until after I've got the furniture laid out. And especially when I first started doing this build, since it was a really modern one, and I normally don't do a lot of modern builds, I waited to see what kind of main furniture pieces that I wanted to use before I went completely along with a color scheme. And I really went with a black and white color scheme for the most part, which was a little bit of a struggle for me because I usually like to add in a lot of color, sometimes maybe too much color. I don't know. Like sometimes I look at something and I'm like, is that tacky? But I think I have a hard time of telling if something is tacky or not, just because I really like a bright, like bohemian type color scheme, again, in real life as well as The Sims. So I just usually use a lot of color. I really loved this little bar nook over here. This was part of the shell, this like little cutout, and a bar fit there so perfectly, and I just think it looks so good. I love that little area, and those shelves with all the bottles on it just fit super perfectly. So I love how that came out. And I actually used the bar and then in the kitchen, the counters from Perfect Patio Stuff, so I know that they were originally designed to be outdoor, but I do like to use them inside some of my builds because, especially like with a modern type scheme, I think they look really nice. Like they look like they have a nice granite countertop, and I don't know, like when you have the counters up against the wall, you can't really see that the back is like brick anyway. And I don't know, I've not necessarily seen brick counters like indoors in real life, but it really doesn't bother me. So I like that. Now, as you can see, I've been adding a couple little pops of color throughout with my decorations. And here in the bathroom, in order to brighten it up, I added some teals. I am pretty sure I kind of carried that teal scheme into this upstairs bathroom as well. So this is just a 1-bedroom house, and again, I wanted to kind of keep the open concept throughout. I didn't want to shut it off too much. So there is 1 bedroom up here with an ensuite bathroom, and then the whole like landing area is what I envision to be the Sims like photo studio and workspace area. Here was another one of those weird little bump outs, so I made it a closet. So I put some glass doors in front of it and put in that wardrobe from Get Famous. Now it's not, I don't think it's functional. You know what? When I play tested this, I actually forgot to test that. So I'm not 100% sure if it's functional since it's behind doors, but they are doors, so the Sim might open it. I'm really not 100% sure. I'm gonna have to go test that later because I am a little bit curious. But even if you can't use it, there are plenty of mirrors around, and there's also this freestanding wardrobe rack from Moschino Stuff that I end up putting out in the studio area because I was thinking maybe the Sim has clients come over to her place and she has the clothing there for when she does her photo shoots. And then I went ahead and I put in the video station. So I was thinking that in addition to her doing photography, she also does like YouTube videos for fashion. And then that board over there on the wall that's like the, looks kind of like a cork board but really wide, that is the fashion freelance career board that came, I don't exactly remember the name of that item, but it came with the update when they added the fashion stylist. Is it fashion stylist career? I don't remember the name of that career, but it came in an update, fashion stylist, I believe. So that's the board that came with that career. And I thought that it was just perfect because I just envisioned this sim as being so many different things, working in the fashion career, doing photography, doing YouTube. Like, she's the boss, and that's why she has this like ultra cool modern house, because even though it's small, it is not cheap. I think this ended up costing over 100,000 simoleons, if I remember correctly. So right now I'm just moving on to the backyard, and I went ahead and I gave her a pool because I figured, you know, she would be the perfect kind of sim to be out here like lounging by the pool. And then I put one of the floaties in the pool as well because she's gonna have to like work on her tan and everything. I kept the backyard pretty minimalistic because I didn't figure this sim would be the one that would want to do like a lot of different outdoor activities besides the pool. I really didn't envision her. I thought about putting a barbecue, as you can see right there, but I didn't really envision her being the type that would be out here and cooking and all that kind of stuff. And I kept it minimal on the landscaping. Sometimes I do have the tendency to go overboard with plants, but I tried to keep it pretty minimalistic and within kind of that like white color scheme, because I don't think she's out here gardening herself. She probably hires somebody to come out here and maintain the landscaping for her. So I tried to keep it at a minimal. Again, this was really stepping outside of my comfort zone because I just don't do modern builds, but I figured my normal overgrown, lots of bushes, lots of just wild flowers and shrubs growing everywhere just was not the vibe for this build at all. So I really just had to show some self-restraint, and maybe I'll practice that a little more moving forward in some of my builds, because of course not every sim would be a super clutter bug. Some sims would want that more minimalistic style. So I think I'm gonna, you know, continue to push outside the comfort zone. But anyway, we are about to come up on these screenshots. Thank y'all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Bye!